Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles DeBancy. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And today we got a very, very interesting show for you guys. But before we get into it, please make sure you like the video and subscribe to the channel. And also, if you haven't checked out the Dreamerspro podcast, we have that pinned in the comment section below. Let me get into this topic here, because there's some pretty interesting things taking place on the internet. Now, as you guys know, the NBA season is quickly approaching. As a matter of fact, preseason begins tonight, if I'm not mistaken, or if it's not tonight, I think it's tomorrow. The last time I checked, I saw that some NBA teams are slated to play. I think the Dallas Mavericks. When I checked this morning, I have the app, so whenever the games start, I'm going to be notified of this, but games start today. Yes, it's going to be the Dallas Mavericks playing against the Minnesota Timberwolves in preseason. I believe that's in Abu Dhabi. I could be mistaken. And then tomorrow we're going to have the Minnesota. On Saturday it's going to be Minnesota, and then it's going to be the Lakers versus the Golden State Warriors. They're going to be playing on Saturday as well. Speaking of the Lakers, as you guys know, the Lakers made it to the Western Conference Finals last year, and they faced the very formidable Denver Nuggets, being led by Jamal Murray and, of course, Nikola Jokic, right? And by the end of that series, and really the end of the playoffs, a lot of people considered Nikola Jokic to be the best player in the world. Now, during that series, the Lakers found a way to make it, and I know this sounds like an oxymoron, competitive and being swept, but if you watch those series, especially game 4, the Lakers did absolutely everything in their power. They fought hard, like really fought hard to try to win game 4, but they couldn't make it happen. And Nikola Jokic and these guys just kept on coming in. To me, at that point, it showed the intestinal fortitude and the stick-to-itiveness from the Denver Nuggets to even want to sweep. Because remember, you're up 3-0. So it must have meant that on a certain level, number one, they were probably trying to send a message to the Lakers, knowing that the Lakers are going to get all the headlines. But I believe they also believe, based on how the first 3 games had gone, that they didn't want to give the Lakers any hope that if they came back and they won game 4, then all of a sudden now things begin to shift. And we've seen some crazy things happen in the playoffs. So that series was won by the Denver Nuggets. But while this series was underway, there were various things being said on both sides. Some comments were being sent back and forth from the head coaches, Darvin Ham and Mike Malone. You could tell during that series that the Denver Nuggets and their head coach, Mike Malone, was unhappy that whenever the Lakers lost, it wasn't about the Nuggets beat them. It was about what did the Lakers do wrong, right? And you could tell that the Denver Nuggets were pretty upset with that. And at the end of the playoffs, when they were having a parade, the Nuggets announcer was taking shots at the Lakers. Mike Malone went on various shows to, take his pop shots here and there. So when the NBA schedule came out, I believe that one of the games that we're slated to see on opening night is supposed to be the Lakers versus the Denver Nuggets, right? And in the build up to that, there's been this kind of back and forth that's being said. Some Laker fans want some get back on the Denver Nuggets, and I think that the Lakers are going to be one of the very best teams this year. So what happened yesterday on Undisputed Live? They were discussing this very matchup and discussing some of the things that were being said. And this morning I was sent an article here from Mitch that works with us, and he sent me an article regarding some comments that Richard Sherman made that has gotten him into some pretty hot water with some NBA fans around the NBA. So actually, I want to read this article. I believe it's from Sports Illustrated. And I want to get into this article a little bit and then also get into some of his comments. So I just want to quickly read the headline. It says, NBA fans crush Richard Sherman for his laughably bad shot at the Nuggets. Nuggets coach Mike Malone. The article goes on to say Richard Sherman is taking some serious heat from NBA fans after his take on Wednesday morning on Undisputed Live. Sherman, part of the new cast, the new Skibalis constructed for the morning debate show, has brought some interesting sound bites on football commentary so far his time on the show. But with the NBA season set to get underway, Sherman was forced to weigh in on the beef between the Denver Nuggets and the Los Angeles Lakers, and his take puzzled virtually everyone in the basketball world. Sherman criticized Denver Nuggets head coach Mike Malone, who is fresh off leading the franchise to an NBA championship. So what we want to do is want to quickly play what Richard Sherman had to say yesterday on Undisputed Live, and then we're going to come back and continue on the show. Take a listen to what Richard Sherman had to say there.
So he is laughing
Michael Malone has had one successful season, Skip. Michael Malone has had one successful season. LeBron James could really give up. You know what, as you would say, about what Michael Malone is doing. Michael Malone will be an irrelevant, erroneous name in the history books of the NBA. He'll be a guy who maybe wins one championship, maybe two, at the greatest, and then he'll be forgotten about, as most people are, as people will forget about this Denver Nuggets championship team. They will not forget about LeBron.
So you heard his comments, right? You heard his comments. I was shocked to hear him say that. If I'm being honest with you, I was very, very surprised. Michael Malone has not had one successful season. He will be irrelevant, erroneous name in the history books of the NBA. Was that necessary? Like, let's just be for real. Were those comments necessary? Like, was it necessary for him to take it that far? To say that, he's going to be irrelevant and all of these different things. I actually want to read what some NBA fans had to say about this, because some NBA fans were turned off. One person said, Richard Sherman does not watch basketball. Laugh out loud. Another person said, Richard Sherman should stop talking about basketball. Love his football insight, but man, Michael Malone is one of the best coaches in the league. Another person said, Richard Sherman won one Super Bowl. Another person said the Nuggets were awful after the Carmelo trade. Mike Malone has led team to 6 straight winning seasons, 6 playoff appearances, a conference finals, an NBA title, the first in franchise history. I highly doubt that will be forgotten. Another person said, I'm so confused. A coach who won at least 46 games in every season since 2017 and has been to at least the second round of the playoffs in 4 of the past 5 seasons has had just one successful season. I understand that Undisputed needs views, but this is just wrong. And one other person said, what is his basis for this? What about Malone's track record or statistics or personality does he take issue with? You don't have to put him in the Hall of Fame or anything, but he's a damn good coach. No title winner has ever been irrelevant. Another person said, please stop making us watch NFLers talk about the NBA. Thanks. And finally, one person said, Richard Sherman needs to stick to talking football. So that's what they had to say there. Now, I got a few thoughts about this. First of all, Richard Sherman, I believe, is from Los Angeles, if I'm not mistaken. I believe Richard Sherman is from Compton. I could be mistaken, but at least that's what I think. So he's from Compton, and that means he's from California, right? So usually people from California are going to support the Lakers. The vast majority of them are Laker fans. LA is a Laker town, right? So that comes as no surprise. And I want to just believe that the reason he is saying that is because he is an aggravated Laker fan. I want to believe that's the reason he did that. I don't want to believe that he was just summarily dismissing Mike Malone like as if he was some run-of-the-mill guy. Now, I understand that Mike Malone talks his trash. Let's not get it twisted. He does talk his trash. He does. At that parade, he was on 1 or 2 or 3. And when they beat the Lakers and LeBron came out and was talking about he may be considering retirement and all of that stuff, Mike Malone went on the Pat McAfee show and basically started roasting LeBron. For those of you who don't even remember that, I want to quickly play what he had to say. It's about a minute soundbite, and then we'll continue on. Take a listen to that there.
One of the things that I think everyone was kind of, drawn to the Nuggets was
when you were talking after the Lakers games in your press conferences, and obviously, people didn't really want to talk about you guys. People didn't really want to talk about what Jokic was doing. And Pat mentioned earlier, the prime time really wasn't built up for the Nuggets. And even after you swept the Lakers, there was different conversations, and that's neither here nor there. But they weren't talking about the Nuggets sweeping, LeBron and the Lakers. Do you think now that you guys have, put Denver on the map with the championship, being that first team since 1979 to win outside of Texas and California, do you think now people will, not only respect the Nuggets, but will look at the Denver Nuggets as
I'm doing it.
Yeah, like the team in the West now?
Hell yeah.
Well, a really good question. And speaking of the Lakers, I just want you guys to know this is breaking news. I'm thinking about retiring, so don't tell anybody.
You love it, Coach. You love it. Coach, let's take the conversation away from the championship. Let's talk about the coach retiring.
So you heard what Mike Malone had to say. Here are my thoughts on this. First of all, I don't think this is a real beef. I think the media is reading a lot into it. I don't think there's anything here really. I just think that these are just teams chirping back and forth. In the case of Richard Sherman, man, that was a little bit personal. I think he went below the belt to call the guy. He's going to be irrelevant. My brother, there's no way you can be irrelevant. After think about it. You're the first coach to help lead a particular franchise to their first title ever. There is no way you're going to be irrelevant. Saying Michael Malone is going to be irrelevant is tantamount to saying Nick Nurse of the Toronto Raptors in the future is going to be irrelevant. That is a joke. Like, let's stop. Number one. And number two, I understand that we have a lot of Laker fans, but Laker fans, you guys have to learn to give other people their props when they earn it. Now, I can understand Laker fans dismissing the Clippers organization because they haven't won anything, especially both teams are in-house. They're in the same arena. I understand that. But to say, oh, man, you shouldn't be hype, it's your first title. If they lost, Laker fans would be saying this is their, 17th, 18th title, or whatever it is. So y'all will be taking credit for that. So just because it's just their first title, that doesn't mean that what they did was insignificant. The Lakers, if you go through the history of the NBA, have had some of the greatest players to ever play the sport. You guys had Jerry West. You guys had Will Chamberlain. You guys had Kareem Abdul-Jabbar. You had Magic Johnson. You had Shaq. You had Kobe. Now you have LeBron. So the Lakers have had James Worthy and others, right? So the Lakers have had a plethora of great players in their storied franchise, and LA is a destination. So when you have a small market team go out there and win, don't dismiss them. Like, give it up. Like, they won. So these are my thoughts, man. I think Richard Sherman just needs to chill with that. I think you took a little bit too far. But these are my thoughts. So what I want to know from you guys is, number one, what do you think about what Richard Sherman, what he had to say? Do you think it was below the belt, or it was fair? And number two, what do you think? How do you think this thing ends up playing out this season? Do you think that the Lakers end up being better than the Nuggets, or do you think that the Nuggets will ultimately still be the best team in the Western Conference? Whatever you guys think, leave your thoughts in the comments when we catch you on the next show. Peace.